Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It's kind of going to be an extension to a video I did a couple months ago talking about 5 luxury makeup products that I think are worth your money and 5 that I think are not. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 5 high-end makeup products, not quite luxury, but high-end, that I think are worth your money and 5 that I think are not. I believe, I'd have to go back and rewatch that video, but I believe that this video was inspired. It was either by Kelsey Brianna J or Mel Thompson. So I will have that, I'll have my previous video linked and I will have their video and channel linked as well. But if you guys are interested in hearing about 5 products that I think are worth your money that are like a little bit higher price tagged, and then 5 that I don't think are worth it, and then stay tuned. But first, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider doing so before you go. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And without further ado, let's get into the video. All right guys, so clearly I was feeling some kind of way that I never feel when I got ready today, because I played around with like blue and green eyeshadow, and I'm not quite sure, first of all, I'm not quite sure how the blending's gonna look once we go to edit. That's always, you know, that's always a concern of mine. And I'm not sure how I'm gonna love it with like my OG MTV like leopard print shirt. I was kind of going for like opposite spectrums of the color wheel, like a big contrast. So if this doesn't turn out, if I look wild and wacky, I do apologize. But I'm going to be starting with the 5 products that I do not think are worth your money. And it wasn't like I selected a different brand. I just really just looked through my makeup collection at like all of my high-end products and came up with the 5 items or 5 items that are currently in my collection that like, I just feel like there's better out there for either like the same price or a lesser price. So we'll get into that. So starting with product number 1, I have the Becca priming filters. I have both the First Light priming filter as well as the Backlight priming filter. Now I've panned and used up both of these this year, and I've actually gone through 2 bottles of the Becca Backlight priming filter. And for me, if I had to choose, like if someone was like, you could only wear this primer for the rest of your life, and I had to choose one or the other, I would go with the First Light, just because I feel like it's a little bit more natural looking, whereas the Backlight can look a little bit artificial if you're going in just with a primer and not doing foundation. But for me, these just don't do enough as far as like longevity of my makeup wear, and this one specifically, the Backlight, looks just a little bit too artificial for my liking personally. And we're going to get into these when I talk to you guys about 5 products that I do think are worth your money. I just really love the First Aid Beauty Primer, specifically the coconut skin one if I'm looking for something that's going to give me illumination. And then I really like the mattifying pores be gone one if I'm looking for one that's going to smooth the skin. I just don't get any skin smoothing properties from either of these. I don't feel like they make my makeup last longer, and they're just, I mean, they're $39 and I just prefer other primers. So I think there are better primers on the market, and I think you can spend your $39 better elsewhere. Next up, I have one that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but this is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I don't know why I was shaking my head out, but I saw the separation and felt the need to shake it. So many people rave about this foundation, recommend it all the time in their Sephora VIB like buying guides, and that's why I ended up purchasing this, because a couple VIB sales ago, every recommendation video I saw was recommending this foundation. Now I will say I do think I have a shade that's a little bit too light for me, so part of it is a shade thing, but I also just don't like the way that this looks on my skin. It looks very makeup like. It doesn't sink into my skin. It maybe gives like a little bit of a radiance, but it also makes my skin look just flat, and it's just very heavy on the skin. It's not a foundation that I like. It's $47, I think. I believe that this retails for $47, so a very expensive foundation, and there were so many better foundations. Whether or not you're looking for a mattifying one or a radiant one, there are so many better foundations on the market, in my opinion, than this. Spend your money elsewhere. Okay, this next one I also feel like is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but it's the Tarte Shape Tape. Now the Tarte Shape Tape I believe retails for $27 now. I think when I first purchased it, it was like $22, which is crazy to think it's gone up that much in price in such a short amount of time. But for me personally, I don't like a super full coverage concealer, but you can also purchase the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and you get a lot more product in that for like $1 more. I think it's maybe $29, so maybe $2 more. So if you're looking for a super full coverage foundation, I would definitely recommend the Too Faced Born This Way over the Tarte Shape Tape. I also really like the Jouer one, which I think is a little bit, you're getting a little bit less coverage, but it's a little bit more hydrating, still pretty full coverage. For me, I typically tend to like more of like a medium coverage concealer on a day-to-day basis, but even when I'm looking for a full coverage concealer, this just there's so many others that I would rather reach for. This one, I will say though, does last, I swear, through like, it would last through a hailstorm. Like, I put this on, I will never forget this. I put this on when I was going out with my friends for a bachelorette party in Las Vegas, and I wore this with, I believe it was the Dior Forever foundation. And when we got home that night, all of my makeup had sweated off. I had raccoon eyes, but then underneath my eyes, I literally had like white triangles where my Tarte Shape Tape was. I looked ridiculous, but if you're looking for a really long wearing concealer, this probably would be a good one to invest in. But I think the Too Faced Born This Way is also super long wearing, and again, you're getting so much more product with that. So that is why I'm not saying that this is a bad product. I'm just saying I think you could take your $27 and maybe like take $2 more and buy the Too Faced Born This Way. Okay, so the next product that I have to talk about, I never would have mentioned this in a products I think like aren't necessarily worth your money. I wouldn't have said this a couple of years ago, but now, because I feel like the market is so saturated, I feel like there's better out there for the same amount or less, and it's actually the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors. I have 3 of them. I have the Prismatic Amethyst, I still have Champagne Pop, and then I also have, oh, I didn't grab it, I have Lilac Geode, and then I have a couple of little ones too. This one I think is in Rose Quartz, which I really do love this highlight. This is one that I probably would pay full price for the full size. And then I also have Vanilla Quartz, but in general, I feel like you can get a better quality or the same quality highlight for a lesser cost. I love the Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duos. I think that they sit on the skin, they sink into the skin a little bit more nicely than these. Sometimes I feel like these sit on top of your skin and they don't necessarily give you that like wet glossy highlight that I really love nowadays. And these, I feel like these got so much hype because they were one of like the first highlighters to like really give like just like a shabam highlight on the market. But again, the market's just so saturated now. There's so many options out there, and I believe these retail for $38. I also really love my Natasha Denona Glow highlight, not the Super Glow, the original, which is also $38. I prefer that over this just because, again, I think it gives a more glossy highlight. It's still super intense, but it just looks a little bit more natural, if you will, like a natural. So yeah, that is why I'm including these. Again, I don't think that these are a bad product. I just think you could take your $38 and spend them on different highlights and be just as happy or happier. And you could even spend maybe less than $38. Again, I think the Pixies are like 14 or 18. And then, ooh, the MAC Hyper Real Glow palette is $39, so $1 more, but you're getting 3 highlights as opposed to $38 for just 1. Okay, and then speaking of MAC, my 5th and final product, I actually don't have any with me anymore, but I've owned so many MAC shadows, so many MAC palettes in my life. MAC palettes, MAC eyeshadow palettes, I just don't think they're worth your money. I think that MAC shadows just aren't as pigmented. There's just so many better eyeshadow formulas on the market, in my opinion, these days, that I would take that money and spend it elsewhere. MAC eyeshadow palettes are still very, very expensive. I know they release quite a few holiday, they're constantly like releasing palettes too, so I feel like they're not putting as much thought into like the quality of the eyeshadows. I know that they've not recently, but I know that they do offer their single shadows in the just magnetic pots now, I think for $6. I think that this happened around the time that Makeup Geek was super popular, so MAC did that to be a little bit more competitive, but I just don't think their quality is up to the standards of most beauty companies these days. Maybe I'm like wrong to say that, but I just am more impressed with other eyeshadow formulas than I am with MAC eyeshadows, and I think their eyeshadow palettes are still very pricey for what you're getting. So I feel like that might be just yet another unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, I think you can spend your money in a better place on a better eyeshadow palette than you could on a MAC eyeshadow palette. Okay, so those were the 5 products that I think are not worth your money. I think your money can be spent better elsewhere. Maybe on the next 5, actually 6 products that I'm gonna recommend to you guys. I had to do 6. I had to, because when I picked there's a lip product that I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And then I was like, oh, but I also forgot about this lip product. So I had to choose 6 products that are like higher end that I think are worth your money. Starting with number 1, I have the First Aid Beauty primers. Again, if you are looking for an illuminating primer, I don't know why I feel like my lighting like keeps shifting and I'll look like really red in the cheeks at one point and then super flushed and washed out at the next. Anyway, if you're looking for a really nice illuminating primer, I have the First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer. This has been my favorite primer for over a year now. It's very hydrating, and at the same time, it gives a beautiful sort of like glossy illumination to the skin. This retails for $28, which I think is a really fair price for a higher end, what am I trying to say? A higher end brand. So I think that the pricing is right on the First Aid Beauty primers. Sorry, I can't speak. And then if you have more oily skin or you're looking for more of a smoothing primer, I also really like the Pores Be Gone matte primer, and I was very hesitant to try this at first because I do have dry skin, so I get really nervous about like pore filling primers. I've never had luck with pore filling primers. The Benefit one as well as the Smashbox one, I I couldn't finish them. I think I did finish the Smashbox one, but I hated every minute of it. This is still hydrating on the skin while smoothing. It's such a beautiful primer. These two will always be in my collection. They are some of my favorite primers. This is for sure my favorite, and this might be my second favorite primer now. So I love both of these. Again, $28, you get 1.7 fluid ounces. I think it's a really fair price. Phenomenal primers. First Aid Beauty is also really good if you have sensitive skin, so highly recommend these primers from First Aid Beauty. As far as foundation, concealer, etc., I didn't want to recommend any of those for products that I think are worth your money, just because I feel like our skin types are all so different, and what might be a great foundation for me wouldn't necessarily be a great foundation for someone else. Now I know I mentioned a foundation and a concealer for products I don't think are worth your money, but I feel like they may not be worth it for anyone. Anyway, I do have a cheek product to recommend, and it is the Buxom Primer Infused Blushes. I own 2 shades of this. This is in my favorite shade, which is in the shade Seychelles. It's just a really beautiful nude blush with like a satin sheen to it. I think it is absolutely stunning on the cheeks. I think there are 6 or 8 shades in the line, but they go from like neutral all the way to like very vibrant blushes, so I'm hoping that there would be a shade out there for every single skin tone, and I think that they're really nice blushes. They last a really good amount of time. They're very easy to apply, very easy to blend out, pigmented without being so pigmented that you have to worry about going heavy-handed. I also have the shade Mykonos, which is a really bright peachy shade, and I was worried about that because I can tend to get clown cheeks from time to time, but it's a super easy shade to blend out, so I never have issues with the formula. I really like these. I believe they retail for $22 or $24. Highly recommend even just picking up one shade. I know I really want to get the shade Dolly as well, which is just a beautiful mauve tone shade that I think will be beautiful for the fall time, but definitely recommend and think that these are worth your money. A highlighter formula that I have loved, and I think I can safely say is my favorite highlighter formula even still to this day, is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Highlights. My favorite shade specifically is in Lightning Dusted Fire Crystal. You can see I've hit pan on the more subtle of the 2 sides. These, I swear these may have gone up in price. Maybe they're like $34 or $32. What I love about these is you're offered a subtle side, and then you're offered a side that's a little bit more intense. You can mix the 2, you can go on with one or the other, doesn't matter. I love this. I think it's brilliant, and the formula again is just so nice. The subtle side, just both of these give like such a glossy look to the skin, which clearly you guys have heard me say the glossy look is one that I really am looking for within a highlight. What I love about the subtle side is it's subtle, but like still there too. Like it's still there. It's still there. And I just think that this is a beautiful product. Highly recommend. I've talked about these so much on my channel this year. Definitely worth your money in my opinion. Okay, next up I want to recommend the Hooda Obsessions palette. Now I have all 6 of the originals. I have 1 of the neon and I have 2 of the gemstone. I don't think the gemstone line is worth your money. And honestly, like, I'd probably just like hold back a little bit on the neons because that's more of a seasonal type of a palette to me. But if you look within her original line, I'm sure there's a palette, a color scheme for you there. They're $27. You get 9 shades. They're so easy to travel with. This is my personal favorite. This is the Smoky Obsessions palette, which I know has been out of stock on the website for a little bit now. I also love the Warm Brown as well as the Mauve Tone Obsessions palette. I think the formula is so nice, so easy to work with. Again, it's such a travel friendly palette. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll just grab like my 3 favorites. So I'll grab Smoky, Warm, and Mauve. And they're so small and compact. I can grab 3 eyeshadow palettes. I'm traveling with 3 eyeshadow palettes, but it doesn't even feel like it. So highly recommend the Hooda Obsessions. I've been raving about these on my channel for over a year now. I think that they are phenomenal. I don't think you can beat that $27 price point. Even though like it's $27, you are getting 9 shades. And I use this all the time and I have yet to hit pan on any of these shades. So can't recommend these enough. Definitely think they're worth your money. Okay, and then lastly, I have 2 lip products to recommend you guys. The Tarte Rainforest of the Sea lipsticks. I also rave about these all the time on my channel. This one specifically is in the shade Beach Babe. I think I have 8 of these now. They were on sale half off as like one of the deal of the days on Sephora at one point this year, and I scooped a bunch of them up. They are such a hydrating lipstick formula, but they still last a good amount of time, and I just love the shade range personally. I like literally love every single shade in the line. I think that they are just a knockout formula. I know for me personally, I hate super matte lips. I used to love liquid lipsticks and I'm just kind of over that now. And I've been looking for just good hydrating bullet lipstick formulas that still feel hydrating, or that last a long time but they still feel hydrating, and this is definitely it. If you guys have not tried this out, I've been loving this. Is probably my favorite bullet lipstick formula for like 2 years now, and like I've tried quite a few more bullet lipsticks in the recent like year and a half, and still I always go back to this one. So highly recommend that. And then the Fenty lip gloss, I couldn't not include this in this video. I own all 3. I actually just recently finished up my original Gloss Bomb, and I'm definitely going to be picking up a backup. I'm also definitely going to be picking up her like 5 or 6 mini holiday set. Like 100% getting that. It's just such a nice glossy formula. It feels super nice on the lips. It's not sticky. I think that there's a shade out there for everyone. I actually feel like every single shade within her like permanent range can work for everyone. I know some people think like the original doesn't suit their skin tone, but I feel like I've never seen it look bad on anyone, and I just really love the formula. You get a bang for your buck with this product too. You're getting, I forget how much you get in this. Oh, 0.3 fluid ounces, which is so much more than you get in your standard lip gloss, and it's $18. So if you're looking for a good lip gloss just for day-to-day wear, highly recommend checking out the Fenty. If you haven't already, it is definitely my favorite gloss formula, like hands down. I love this. Can't recommend this enough. I always talk about this too and recommend this on my channel, so highly recommend. And after that, those are going to be the 5 products that I don't think are worth your money, as well as the 6 products that I do think are worth your money that are a little bit more higher end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like to see a round 2. I definitely feel like I could find enough products within my makeup collection that I think are worth your money as well as aren't. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to watch it, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.